Is Optic Formal the greatest FPS player of all time? As we all know, Formal started his professional gaming career in Halo. In 2009, he was a freshman in high school, so he had to work hard to convince his parents to let him travel the world to compete at these different events. But they, like most parents at the time, didn't believe that you could potentially make a career out of this. Fortunately for Formal, MLG Anaheim was announced, which was only about a 20-minute drive from his house. So his parents, they agreed. They decided, you know what, you can go, have fun, we'll see you. And he joined a team called Chilled Reality alongside other players Art of War, Frogan, and Shire. They only placed top 30. So while his placings were nothing special at his first event ever, this experience urged him to further this, to see what can come from competing and being a professional gamer. After 2 years, Formal wasn't sure where his life was heading. He bought Halo Reach with no intention of playing professionally. That was until a team called Soul took a chance on an amateur named Formal. Now, I can tell you guys from personal experience, since I competed against him in Halo, he was always kind of known as just an online player, right? He was obviously very talented, and he could compete with the best of them. But the only times most players ran into him were in the MLG ranked playlist, right? So he was ranked amongst the best, but he never competed at these events, or I guess really took it seriously. But shockingly, Soul and Formal had immediate success, placing top 5 at MLG Dallas 2011. I'm gonna guess myself up here. I won that event, thank you very much. And then top 6 at MLG Columbus in 2011 as well. And those placings were solid. Like, they weren't bad placings by any means, but when you are a true competitor, okay, and when you are aspiring to be maybe the greatest player of all time, you need to be winning championships. Formal then left with teammate Blaze, and they joined a team called Believe the Hype. Now, if you are a Halo fan, then you have obviously heard of Believe the Hype. It is a household, a classic, a legendary team in the Halo scene. And while he only competed under this team for 2 events, they had slightly better placings than his previous team, Soul. They managed to finish 3rd place at MLG Raleigh in 2011, taking home $2,000 each. Now, at the time, that was a pretty good amount of money to get from competing. While Formal was placing great for the start of his career, he was hungry for that first event win, and he changed teams again, this time joining Dynasty. And this might have been the first time that Formal truly felt comfortable playing with his teammates. He was alongside Destin, Hines, and Toxic, some very legendary Halo players in my opinion. And that comfortability Formal had with his teammates showed in game, because at their very first event, they took home the championship, which was MLG Orlando 2011. And if you guys were wondering, yes, I was at that event and I finished 4th. You know, could have been better. But anyways, despite their success, the team's vibe was killed after a top 5 placing at the national championship. So after they won their very first event together, they couldn't replicate it. And they couldn't do it on the biggest stage at the Halo World Championships. Prize pool was $280,000, which even to this day is a lot of money. So even though Formal's professional Halo career started a little late in Halo Reach, there was hope, there was potential that he could keep finding success and keep winning championships. But things all changed when Halo 4 was released, because quite honestly, that was the beginning of the end for Halo. Halo 4 was released in 2012, a game which would spell the end of Halo and MLG's relationship. The last event held by MLG was MLG Dallas in the year 2012, where Formal's new team at the time, Ambush, placed 2nd. After MLG left the scene, a company called AGL started hosting events. And while it wasn't the same sort of experience, right? These events, at this time, a lot of the pros had started to retire. You know, they got older. They thought that was just the end of an era. You know, the bubble had popped. Halo was done. Formal still competed. Formal and Ambush went on a tear. They won 5 of the next 6 AGL events. Despite having so much success, the Halo competitive scene was drying out. And Formal even said it himself. Winning an AGL event just didn't feel the same as winning an MLG event. It wasn't mainstream anymore. It was more underground, grassroots type. You know, there wasn't people that were motivated to win an AGL event. But Formal having some very decent success in the Halo scene, And I guess just the overall experience of competing, he wanted to try something new. That's when he decided to switch to Call of Duty. And the rest is history. And luckily for Formal, at the time there was a new Call of Duty coming out. It was Call of Duty Ghost. Formal's first event was under Team Primal, and he teamed with other Halo pros, Ace, Snakebite, and yours truly. If you guys didn't know, that's a fun fact, that me and Formal started competing in Call of Duty at the same time. We both decided to make the switch and, just give it a go and see what happened. In Call of Duty Ghost, he was on Team Fear, TK, and FaZe Black. I believe it was FaZe Black. So while he was still figuring out Call of Duty because it was such a different game than Halo, he was learning from some of the best Call of Duty players at the time, and it really just amplified his overall gameplay. And things were changed when he was picked up by one of the most famous Call of Duty organizations of all time, Envious. He was set to team with Merc, JCap, and Nameless. Two absolute Call of Duty legends, and Nameless. And then he finally did it, because Envious won Gfinity and Formal became the first player in the history to win a major championship in both Halo and Call of Duty, aka a multi-FPS champion. But the success doesn't stop there. They also placed second at UMG Dallas, and they won the Season 3 playoffs under that same team. But there's one thing about Formal. He doesn't want to just win once, okay? He wants greatness, and he'll do anything he possibly can to make sure he has the best opportunity to do so. He has no issue moving from team to team to team if that means that he is going to have a better opportunity to win. And that's where we got the Optic Dynasty from. By that time, everyone knew how talented this Formal guy from Halo was, but he was so impressive, he was asked to join the most popular Call of Duty org of all time in Optic Gaming. But they weren't just popular, because they had just created, before they knew, a Call of Duty God Squad. Alongside Formal were absolute COD legends, Scump and Crimp, and then some random guy named Nadeshot, but he's not on the team for long. And they pretty much found success instantly. The very first event of Advanced Warfare, they placed second at MLG Columbus in 2014, and then they went on to win back-to-back events. Everything was going right for Formal and the Optic Gaming squad as they headed into the biggest event all year. And I'll be honest, it was a complete flop, because even though they were the heavy favorites, they found themselves bowing out in 7th place. Nadeshot ended up retiring. He was done competing. He didn't want to play with Crim anymore. And I subbed in. And we went back to back on that Optic Gaming team, but I was just subbing in because they had actually picked up Karma. So we went overseas and we won back-to-back events, and then Karma joined the team, and well, they pretty much won everything. There were a couple of events towards the end of the year where they just couldn't beat this one specific team, but I can't think, for the life of me, I can't remember what that team was. You guys may know in the comment section, but they still had a very dominant year in Advanced Warfare. 20-something wins later, a Call of Duty championship win in IW, or Infinite Warfare. Their dynasty was cemented, but that also was the end of a run. Like everything, nothing lasts forever, and the dynasty came to an end. Formal went to Team Luminosity, and they actually managed to win an event in Black Ops 4. But overall, his time there on LG wasn't massively successful. So when Call of Duty became franchised, him and his old teammate, Mr. T2P himself, Scump the King, they decided, you know what, we need a team back up. And they did it this time under the Chicago Huntsman banner. And this team was basically Optic Gaming without the branding. And many fans thought that the year was disappointing because it was a combination of their team's success, the game being pretty terrible, awful formatting, and the most important, COVID, messing up the actual LAN league and making it so it was mostly online. Despite this, the fans were incredibly excited for the Cold War season. Call of Duty went back to 4v4, and Hex required the Optic Gaming branding again. The Chicago Optic were set to compete for the World Championship once again with a team of Scump, Formal, Dashy, and Envoy. Even with all that superstar talent on their team, they just couldn't get the job done. And they were there, you know, they were placing in that top 3, top 4 range, but they couldn't end up holding a trophy up. And I think at this point, Formal kind of had known that his time with Call of Duty might be coming to an end. It wasn't that he didn't have the talent anymore, but maybe that fire, the passion, was just starting to leave, because he's already done it all, achieved everything in Call of Duty. And I'll be honest, I don't blame him, because the games just, they weren't as good as they used to be. And that's exactly what happened. After a very frustrating season, Formal decided to retire from competitive Call of Duty. And it was truly the end of an era. But he's back under the Optic Gaming banner, and he's returned to his roots. Only time will tell if he continues to dominate the Halo scene, but one thing's for sure, Matthew Formal Piper is one of the greatest FPS players of all time.